Hello, my name is Jason Flores, and I am in the last semester in Valencia, completing my journey in the Computing Technology and Software Development program. This semester, I was given the opportunity to take part of a mentorship with Stack HPC with the guidance of Stig Telfer and Scott Davison, working in their Magnum project. Magnum is an OpenStack project which offers container orchestration engines for deploying and managing containers as first-class resources in OpenStack. A little bit about the Magnum architecture. How is Magnum designed? Magnum is designed as two components, a cluster, which is a collection of nodes, and a cluster template, which stores template information about the cluster and is used to create new clusters. There are two binaries that compose a Magnum system. The first binary is a Magnum API REST server, and this is accessed by the client code. When a request is sent to the client, the request is sent through Advanced Message Queuing Protocol to the Magnum conductor process. Magnum offers the following features: abstraction for clusters, integration with Kubernetes for backend container technology, integration with Keystone for multi-tenant security, integration with Neutron for Kubernetes multi-tenancy network security, and lastly, integration with Cinder to provide volume service for containers. Our main objective on the Magnum project or mentorship was unit testing. So this is actually a working example, and we're running a command called toxepy3. And a couple of things that we see here is we're already in the Magnum environment. Prior to the command line, you should see Magnum VMB, and that actually tells us we're in the Magnum environment, and we're actually running unit testing here. Prior to this, we had to install requirements, we had to clone the repository, and after cloning a repository, installing test requirements, we finally are able to run unit testing in a Python Magnum environment. And as we could see, these are the results of our unit testing, and it shows 1,238 tests completed, 0 failed. The last commands we ran, or the last command, is create a coverage report. And as you can see, this coverage report has all the Python files that are used for unit testing. And we want to maybe look at coverage. Those files have 100% coverage, which means they're reaching their functions. And then we have all these files with lower coverage. And when we see that, that tells us that the coverage reports let us know that there are some functions not being hit by the current test cases. And we have to look into the code, find out what the issue is, fix the issue, and then submit it for a review. Garrett Code Review is an open source review system used for projects to facilitate code review alongside with Git. And it's a tool that's highly used to get feedback from your peers and within this project. And we will actually get an example of the code we submitted and fixed as well. This is an example of a code review. And for the coverage for the class HTTP non-acceptable API version class. And one of our peers working on the project responded, basically letting us know that everything looks good. There just needs to be better explanation. So as you can see here, this feedback system is crucial, for getting feedback from your peers to address code's needs, along with Git. These are the tools used in my mentorship. Git, a version control system. macOS Terminal, which is a program on the Mac that allows us to access the command line. The Magnum environment. Magnum being an OpenStack API service developed by the OpenStack containers team. Python, a high-level language. An HTML viewer such as a web browser to view those coverage reports. Gerrit code review to allow us to gather feedback from our peers. And Slack as a source for open communication with Stig and Scott, which were members of Stack HPC. Prior to this mentorship, I needed to familiarize myself with OpenStack, become acquainted with Stack HPC, a refresher on Python to understand the code that I was working with a little better, understanding the requirements for SSH, which is used to connect to the cloud machines provided to us. And I also needed to make some adjustments. I switched from PC to Mac for better command line support, created new SSH keys on the machine to connect to the cloud machines from the Mac, and I also downloaded Slack to communicate with members of the Stack HPC team. These were some of the challenges that I ran into. With IPv6, which was corrected by changing router settings, the TOX command, which was basically addressed by making sure I'm using the proper syntax on the command line. Some of the coverage reports weren't running because of version control issues, so I had to statch those changes to be able to run the coverage reports, and unit testing failing because of improper syntax in the Python code, which was corrected by making sure we have the right Python syntax. Successes. An increase in awareness in OpenStack systems, an increase in exposure to Python unit testing, an increased experience with working with others in a version control system, and exposure to Gerrit review system. Disappointments. I felt like I wanted more exposure to unit testing, which it comes into mind that a lot of the code that we were looking at, I didn't build it, so I have a better understanding of code that I build. So I felt like I needed a better understanding of Python as a whole, and also I wanted to learn a little bit more about unit testing in Python as well. A few things that I would have done differently is in the prior 6 months is to work more on Python applications and complete a full Python application on my own that's workable, and also gain more knowledge or gain prior knowledge of OpenStack systems. That would have allowed us to work a little faster in this mentorship. And on a final note, I thank everybody that gave me the opportunity to be in this mentorship. First and foremost, Dr. Leong, Stig and Scott for sticking through it with us throughout this semester. And lastly, my teammate Herb. He was with me throughout this project, and we ended up helping each other out, and I'm really happy that we're both going to graduate at the end of this semester.